I'm ready when you are.
Great.
Alrighty. I guess we better just start off by basically welcoming all those that will be listening to this on the replay. Obviously, we're recording our first session for all these beautiful people to be joining us on the replay of watching this. So welcome to all of the beautiful people that are finding themselves watching this, whether it is 1 month from now or an hour from now. It's great to know that you are receiving all that we want to share today. So thank you and welcome. So we just want to introduce ourselves and take this time to share a little bit about what our vision is for the Art of Alchemy, why we have created this beautiful conversation space, and why or what we desire to serve in being able to do this. So I guess kind of to start with the why, Emma and I have obviously come together to collaborate this beautiful divine space of conversation to enable two beautiful beings of consciousness to share both a spiritual, practical, emotional, and mental element space of how to go about everyday life in this world with ascension and how best you can support yourselves and what you can do on a practical level, a spiritual level, and just an everyday going about life level. So the Art of Alchemy is really going to be a conversation series that enables you to look at your life and see where you can help yourself best to integrate your divinity and bring it inwards and be the alchemist that you truly are. And we just hope that by having these short conversations with you that we'll be able to impart a little bit of our experience and our expertise and our knowledge around alchemy and the art of alchemizing, and it will be able to serve you and you will be able to come fuller, more embodied into you as an experience of that. So this is for anybody that wants to grow and wants to experience their divinity on a deeper level with each and every single day. So we truly believe that this is the time for many people in the collective to find themselves deeply and to incorporate their divinity on a daily basis, but not overcomplicating that. And it's not our desire to overcomplicate anybody's lives and make it an unattainable goal. We want to share very tangible aspects of spirituality and physical support that will be attainable for all to do. So with that being said, I'm going to hand over to Emma to introduce herself. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you so much, Candice. And yes, welcome to all of you watching this recording and hopefully joining us for the sessions that will follow. I've been sort of dipping my toes into this offering in terms of soul support or guiding. I always think of it as almost like being a tour guide sometimes. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Emma Mentel. I come from a background of dietetics and nutritional therapy, applied functional medicine and clinical practice. And then I added the SKIO device and a few different energy healing modalities in the last 30 years, and just getting to know more and more that for people to be able to thrive during these times really require quite a committed process. And so many of you, and I'm including myself in this, have really struggled to find the equilibrium and the balance because things have felt so unsettled. But in my practice, I have always found that the physical aspect is only one part of someone's healing or transformation journey. And we've got to then also acknowledge that there's the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual aspects. And for many of my clients or people out there, I find that they can be quite intimidated by the idea of exploring the soul work or exploring the spirituality, because, you know, where do you start to even find the answers? And especially during these extraordinary times. Candice and I chatted about offering just some simple guidelines to guide and to encourage you to remain curious and to always show up wholeheartedly and fully, regardless of how scary the unknown seems at this stage. So I really would like to assist those of you who will be joining us to become an active and empowered participant in your healing journey. So when I talk about energy healing, it's not something that I feel that one goes to somebody for, and they then do it, and then you are fixed. So whether you have to change your nutritional choices, whether you have to choose different ways of sleeping or feeling, or incorporating some soul and spiritual support, you ultimately are the traveler on this journey. And I hope that you will find it supportive and encouraging to remain curious. I look forward to teaching you more about making different nutritional choices, food choices. Sometimes that means actually eliminating certain things, considering something like fasting perhaps, but also teaching you how these different aspects come together, how we integrate the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects, and where do we start, so that we don't feel we get so tired from trying different things. Thanks, Candice.
Emma, I think you touched on something really important there, and I think it's such a valuable thing to share, is the fact that so often we overcomplicate this process of coming into our wholeness. And I think it's a very valuable thing that we get to share, because ultimately not everybody is going to resonate with absolutely everything that we have to say. And we're just inviting our listeners to go, oh my goodness me, wow, I don't like that, but I love that. And at the end of this, if there's only 3 or 4 things that they're able to incorporate into their daily well-being program, like their program or their routine, then that's a beautiful thing. We're not here to say you have to do all 20 things, otherwise you're not going to find your wholeness. This is about going, there's more than one option and there's more than one way of doing this. And I think both you and I have been on that journey of kind of trying pretty much everything and going, oh, that doesn't resonate, that resonates, or I like that a little bit, and coming back to ourselves and going, okay, what makes up Candice's support box? What makes up Emma's support box? And going, wow, these are the tools I need. And honestly, even within my own toolbox, I maybe only really have 4 very religious things that I do. It's not to be overwhelming. And I think it's important for everybody to remember that it's not about now going, oh my goodness me, I have 100 things to do on my tick list. There's no way I'm going to get it done. So you know what, I'm not going to start. This is about really empowering people to go, you can start and you can do it. And you are your only meter of success in this. There's no judgment. There's no to-do list. There's no accountability. This is really about you coming and going, oh, I love your use of the word curious, because to get to know yourself is the most curious, beautiful progress kind of thing. I don't know what the word is actually. Process, that's the word. Because the minute we become curious about seeing the things that we've hidden from ourselves, or seeing the memories that we've suppressed, we start to observe ourselves in a way that is so playful. And this process should never be scary. And I don't want anyone to feel like healing is a scary process, because it's not meant to be. And if there's one thing that we can empower our listeners to know, is that healing is something that is very possible and is very doable. It's not something that you need to be afraid of trying to do, because it is easier than a lot of people make it out to be, and it is obtainable. And both you and I have gone through much healing to know that that is the fact. So for all of you that don't know who I am Candice, and although I have dipped my toes in many different modalities, at the moment, my primary function is really just embodying Candice consciousness, if you want to call it that. I really dedicate a lot of my time to being an example of embodying my own consciousness, because I truly believe with all of my heart that that is everybody's job. It is every single human being's job on this planet right now during this ascension window to get to know themselves inside out. And in doing so, reconnecting to the truth of who they are, which is a supremely divine being of consciousness. And we will touch on that throughout these conversations. I know that there's going to be many listeners that go, well, what is that? What is this consciousness thing? What is this divine thing? What is being a divine being of consciousness? And, you know, through these conversations, we're going to share more about that. That is not a scary thing to be. It's not an unattainable thing to be. The fact that you are here makes you that divine being of consciousness. It's just how much you're willing to explore the depths of your soul to know just how magical you are. So we really, really look forward to sharing in these conversations with you. And coming up in our next conversation, we're going to start focusing on the 4 chambers of vitality, which Emma briefly touched on. So I am going to just ask Emma to briefly run through what the 4 chambers of vitality are. And basically what we're going to do is just spend the next couple of episodes with you guys running through those chambers, and showing you what support you can offer yourselves from both a physical and a spiritual aspect of both those sides of things. So it's going to be such a beautiful conversation series to share in with you guys. And by the end of it, you're already going to have a greater idea of what it is you need to incorporate into your life. So we really look forward into sharing this over the next couple of weeks with you. So Emma, if you want to just touch a little bit more on the 4 chambers of vitality and why they're so important.
Yes, so I just wanted to apologize in advance. I have got a little bit of a niggling cough. So if I do cough in between, I'll try and turn the microphone off.
No problem.
But I also thought this morning, you know, and it's so easy for us to make excuses to show up, you know, in our daily life.
Yeah.
And that is perhaps where I sometimes push too hard, because I just think, you know, we can show up messy, we can show up broken, we can show up tired, but we just have to show up 100%. Anyway. So in my practice, I will share a slide that I use with Candace so that she can maybe add it to our talk, or you're welcome just to have a look on my Instagram account where I often mention that. So the 4 chambers are the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. So physical is essentially what we eat, how we sleep, what we drink, how we live, our lifestyle, and what we put into our bodies, how we detoxify, all those kind of things that happen every day and that we so often take for granted, that we can make such a big difference to our vitality and our well-being when we become discerning about these kind of choices. And as we go into these dimensional shifts, or I have certainly found in the last few years, my body has become super sensitive to certain things. And if you just pay attention to certain signs or signals, your body will tell you what it's not comfortable with. But that essentially is the physical chamber. And that is why most people come to see me in my practice. They either have got headaches, or they've got fatigue, or an immune concern. And for most of them, when I chat to them about the other 3, it's like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to, you know, stop feeling so terrible. But in order for us to get well, I see it as the 4 pillars, or the 4, like Candace says, the 4 chambers. If you've got this platform of vitality resting on the 4 pillars, if you also acknowledge the importance of your thoughts and how you nourish your mind, the importance of what you feel and how you nourish and acknowledge your feelings. And then the S, in my little drawing that I do, is either soul or spiritual. So there, very often people are actually almost starved, or they don't know how to nourish their souls and nourish themselves spiritually.
Absolutely.
So by paying attention to all 4 of these pillars, if one then takes a knock, at least there's three others to sort of hold it together until that part can repair or restore. So we don't see these things as separate. It's part of the same body. And what I'm finding more and more, and I'm sure Candice will agree with me, is that in the last few years, it's almost like the spiritual nourishment or the soul nourishment has become one of the most important aspects. And how the physical body responds, how the mental body responds, and the emotional bodies responds in that place where we acknowledge soul as something, or our spirituality, that requires nourishment as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think as well, a lot of people forget, or a lot of people are under the impression that our soul is dwelling in our physical body, and it's actually not. Our physical body is dwelling within our soul and within our monad structure. So it is this harmonious balance between what is happening in our physical body is happening in our energetic body. And it's about bringing health and vitality to both modes of this body. So not just focusing on the 3D physical body, but also looking at our energetic body. And, you know, understanding that when our energetic body is out of alignment or overstimulated or understimulated, that it's going to have a direct impact on our physical body. So basically bringing that harmony, that balance point where you are looking at both aspects and bringing them into alignment and finding that beautiful 0 point of, I'm in alignment. And when you do, you don't experience either the physical or the energetic aspects of underactive or overactive. And it's just such a beautiful process to get it right, because it's very instantaneous. The minute that you incorporate both bodies, if you want to call it that, there is the potential, the infinite potential for miraculous healing on a very deep level. And you can go from being miserable to happy in one day, because the minute you bring it into alignment, you've got that 0 point miracle that happens and you go, oh, wow, you know, it's not unattainable to know that your physical body and your energetic body is very, very capable of performing miracles within itself. And that for me is probably the most exciting aspect of our conversations, is knowing we are the alchemizers. We are the ones that make it happen. It's nothing external to us, nothing at all. And to start getting excited about that, oh my goodness, how far can I actually go with this? You know, because in a world where we are seeing immune compromisation and illness and disease being so rife, to be able to be given the hope that actually there is potential within each and every one of us to bring ourselves into alignment with health and vitality without having any intervention other than showing up for ourselves and looking at what we need, that is amazing. And that brings hope to a lot of people that are currently stuck in a cycle of medication and, you know, the side effects of that, and then getting something for the side effects of that, and that whole cycle of the medical side of things, you know. And obviously for every medical kind of intervention, there's always an energetic kind of counterbalance for these things. So it's not to say that you can't take your antidepressants or be involved in taking medication to support your autoimmune. It's also just knowing that in harmony with that, you need to counterbalance it. And in counterbalancing it, you're going to bring yourself into a much more harmonious place, which is really, really exciting. But people forget that they have that opportunity, that they can make the side effects of certain medication less, or they can get rid of side effects entirely if they bring themselves into alignment with certain practices. You know, it's the same as, Emma, I know you focus a lot on insulin resistance and diabetes and the reversal of that through diet. That is a reality. Diabetes can be reversed. It should never be a thing that people get stuck in, I'm never going to be free of this. And I mean, if I think about it, all the autoimmune issues that I've had in my life, I mean, I had rheumatoid arthritis. Purely by aligning myself energetically and physically and finding that 0 point, I no longer I no longer have that inflammation within my body. It is something you can do, but it means coming back to your body, connecting with your body and going, what's going on? What's going on inside of this beautiful vessel of mine, and connecting to the pain, connecting to the inflammation, asking your body what it needs. Like you said, Emma, your body tells you all the time what it needs, and going, okay, I hear you, and not being surrounded by the noise of the outside. It's about coming into your own field of wisdom and going, all the answers that I always thought I needed and that I was asking everyone for is actually inside of here. And that's a really beautiful, beautiful place to come into, because inherently when life feels like you are not getting the answers from anybody, to know that you've got them inside of you is the most comforting realization that you will ever have, that everything I need to know is already here, and it's just about, okay, well, how do I tap into that? And I know that there's going to be listeners saying that, well, it's all good and well saying that all these answers are within me, but how do I get them? How do I find these answers? How do I tune in? What is the frequency? And I really I get excited knowing that we're going to be able to share this with listeners, to know that yes, there's a very physical aspect of vitality, what you put into your body, what thoughts you think, because where your mind goes, your energy does flow. So, but there's also a beautiful thing of being able to teach a remembrance to every single person that is listening to this, a remembrance. It's not that you don't know, it's just that you've forgotten. And when you start stepping into your power, you have these light bulb moments where you go, oh my goodness, like I'm home. That feels so good. That feels so comfortable. That feels so resonant. I get it now. And you have these moments, oh my goodness, I think I probably still have them every day, where I go, oh my goodness, what? No ways, that's amazing. And I think it's going to be just amazing to be able to start sharing from that perspective going forward in our conversations of, wow, from that place where we were looking for things externally, bringing into ourselves and going, what do you need? And I'm sure, Emma, you've also had that experience. Very often when we're looking for things outside of us, something will happen to bring you back home into you, and you go, oh, that's where you were the whole time. Such a beautiful thing. And I'm very excited to share more about the 4 chambers of vitality, because it's going to be just such a practical thing for people to be able to go away and think about. And in that whole series of conversations, we're going to be including things like talking about the connection between your breath and your connection to self. How do we go about embodying this divinity that we talk about? Trauma release, childhood trauma, shadow integration, mother wounds, father wounds, as well as, the direct link between parasites and entities, and how to protect your energy field as well as protect your physical vitality energy, understanding what life force energy is, understanding this thing called ascension, because a lot of people don't necessarily know what that is and how it affects the physical body. And for those of you that are a little bit more scientific minded, we'll be able to explain it in that way. And also for those of you that are a bit more spiritual, we'll explain it in that way. So you've got a beautiful balance of dynamic to be able to understand it in more than one way, which is really, really lovely in these conversations. So we're really excited. We're going to be starting with the physical chamber, and we're going to do that as a live conversation, I think, on Tuesday. We will be sending out a reminder and a link for everyone that wants to join that conversation. If you have any questions, you'll be welcome to pop it into the chat box, and we will be taking questions, as many as we can within the session. We're not going to keep the conversations too long, just because we know that for those that are catching this on the replay, they're not going to want to sit for hours feeding through conversations. So we are going to make it very time manageable, quick and easy conversations to listen to whilst you're dropping your kids off at school or whatever the case may be, that it would be life-changing. Not something that you don't get the time to actually apply or listen to. So yeah, we're very, very excited, and we're kind of just going to trust in the flow of this, and just trusting in our guidance and our teams to just support us in this, in bringing you the information that we feel the collective needs to hear. And we're really excited to be sharing all of this with you guys. And we also can't wait to hear some of your feedback. what it is you want us to talk about and all of that good stuff. So Emma, anything else you want to add about everything that's coming up?
Maybe not so much about what's coming up, because I feel like that is just like
That's a
a
whole
whole
conversation.
thing in itself. But when I listen to people, when I listen to clients, and when I just look around me, I realize that so many people, or most people, have actually been living in this sort of survival mode for so long.
Yeah.
And in our nervous system, if we've been stuck in that sympathetic zone of fight or flight, your body really doesn't prioritize anything else. It does not prioritize the immune system or digestion or restoration or healing. So I think what I feel will be such a valuable thing to include in our topics is also just how to assist you to regulate your nervous system better so that you are more in tune with what's going on in your body.
Yes.
Because if you're there in that survival mode, fight, flight, freeze,
Yeah.
just everything looks scary and overwhelming. And perhaps when you feel more centered, whether it's from a few breaths, and I always say, it doesn't take an hour of meditation for the nervous system to switch. Sometimes it's 4 breaths,
Yes.
but doing it very deliberately.
Yes.
And then it's much easier to get an idea of what's standing in your way of restoring your health back to something that's more optimal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a very real thing that a lot of people are facing right now is they are crutching on their coping mechanisms because they don't know anything else aside from that. So, I mean, I'm sure between the two of us, we will be able to share many, many coping mechanisms that we've had within our own lives and how we've overcome that, because it's a very intentional thing, but it's also about understanding why we have those coping mechanisms in place and what is it in place of. Ultimately, it's an embodiment thing. You are, for example, if you are seeking validation, it's because you're not validating yourself. You don't know your own worth. So it's about sitting in your center and go, I am worthy. I'm a being of divinity. I am worthy. Or even something as simple as smoking. I don't allow myself enough time to just breathe and take time out. So I'm going to smoke because that forces me to have that 5-minute break. So there are so many crutches and all of these little tools that we have that are not necessarily serving us, but it's also needing to know, or at least learning about, what we can replace them with. And there are so many beautiful things that you can replace it with that don't cost you anything and ultimately lead you to the greatest prize, which is embodying more of you and getting to know you on a deeper level, which is, it sounds many years ago, if you had told me, well, Candice, you're going to get to know yourself in a very deep, real, raw way, I would have gone, well, that doesn't sound like much fun. Like, what do I get out of that? But it is ultimately the greatest prize. And it's been the most beautiful journey because you start to realize how powerful you are, that you don't need anything outside of you, and also that you're okay. You're okay in this experience when everything around you feels chaotic because you're grounded in this experience in you. So it doesn't matter about what's going on outside of you. And in a world that is looking very shaky right now, that is honestly the most beautiful safe space that you can be, to know that it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. You are home and you are safe inside of you. And that's incredible. So I'm very excited about sharing in that and all the topics of conversation that are going to come up over the next couple of weeks. And just the offerings that we'll be having in the way of supports and meditations and courses. And obviously in between all of that, our Instagram pages, we enjoy sharing on there as well. So obviously we're going to post this both to our Instagram page and to my YouTube channel. And if you want to reach out to us and you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we will get in touch with you soon. I will be posting out the time, the date, and the link for our next call, which will be on Tuesday, as soon as we finalize that. And we look forward to having this conversation with you guys very, very, very soon. It's very exciting. And thank you, Emma. Thank you for taking the time to have this beautiful intro conversation. It's just such an honor and a privilege to be on this journey with you and sharing our ripple into the collective, knowing that we both
Very exciting.
oh, so
Very exciting.
It's so
So I will also I'll share the links as well on
exciting.
my on my Instagram, which is emma.mental,
Perfect.
and then on the YouTube as well. But between Candace and my
Perfect.
page, you'll definitely find it and the updates going forward. And we look forward to sharing all these brand new tools for you that you can keep in your toolbox and bring them out as and when you need them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emma, for your time, and we'll be chatting soon.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.